Hi, Landy Kev. How are we doing? Right, so I'm here for part 2 of the Punks Custom 3D carbon wheels in 2.2. The first part was basically showing you all about the product and that. And now so I'm going to show you how to mount them onto your chosen tyre. I'm going to go through a couple of little bits and pieces which will hopefully make the installation a bit better for you. But apart from that, let's get on. So basically what I have here is the finished article. This is how it looks, if you can see. So I have painted inside with my chosen colour scheme. And like I say, these are regular dish, not if you were deep dish it'd be right in there like so. But I'm going to show you how to do this because there's a couple of little tips that will just make this installation a bit easier, because they are a 2.2 on the 1.9 tyre. First of all, some of the tips are that really, if you're going to use a dual stage foam, which I've got one kicking about somewhere, here we are. So if we're going to use a dual stage, you are going to have to cut some of this out, basically, because it'd be too much. So you will need to cut some of that out, but really depending on what you want from your tyre, bearing in mind they are a lightweight wheel, so chances are they're probably on a lightweight rig of descriptions like your low centre of gravities and stuff like that. So what I've got in here, it is for mine are for my Capra, but what I've got in here is the single stage foam that comes in with your chosen tyre if you buy new. If not, then yeah, single stage, because by the time you stretch it round and do it, it's kind of, it's supple, but it's supported. So you get a nice, I mean, the way the tyre goes in and sits, I love it. Love how it looks. And it just feels right. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. It's just fantastic. Fantastic quality. So yeah, it's definitely worthy of new tyres, which we're glad we could get. So without further ado, I'm going to get my fat hand in the way of the screen, hopefully not, and I'm going to tilt you down and then chat to you as we're going, because you know there's only so much visual you can take. So yeah, here we go. I'm going to point you down and we'll see if we get to the right direction. Fat hand, there it is. Just add it in there, didn't really need to do that, but you know. So I think we're there. Let's manipulate it back a bit. See if we cover a bit better. That looks a bit better, doesn't it? You think? What do you reckon? Yeah. Right, so as usual, what you're going to need is your 2mm hex and your 2.5. Components: front plate, face plate, back plate, wheel hexes, internal, what do you actually call that? Internal, yeah, what do you call that? It's just your wheel support, I guess. And said tyre and foam, depending on what you're putting on and where you're going from for that. So really what you want to do first, now I prefer to put these dots on the inside. Yeah, there's nothing worse, I don't think, than when I'm driving my truck and all I can see is this little dot going around. Kind of does my melon, but it's all good. So first of all, we're going to put this in here. As I say, it's a 2.2 on a 1.9 tyre. So you have got some overlap. So we're going to force it in a sense. But while you're doing that, what you want to do is, you know, Now, I do apologise if somebody watching this has been doing this hobby far longer than I have. I apologise if I sound like I'm trying to teach you what you already know. But to be perfectly honest, the video is aimed more at people that are my level or newer, just to help, because everybody that's been doing it a lot longer has got a greater wealth of knowledge than I could ever have. So it's just, but if you like the video anyway and you find it interesting, then yeah, by all means. Right, so what we want to do, because we're going to mount it from the back, because if we mount it from the front, not only have you got to put this through the face plate, like so, and on, you've also then got to get it through the tyre. Oh, sorry, you couldn't see that. Through the tyre, and to have these bits on, it's just like, that's just ridiculous. So what I do, and what I found easier, is to put these on, these long ones, to put them on this already. Now, bearing in mind, you have got an open face. Can you see that? Too close. And you have got a closed face. So I put the open face on. It just seems to go on better that way. So I'm only doing these hand tight. I think in the last video it was all about hand tight. And we're just going to place these on here. Like so. Yeah. So hope you're all keeping well. I know a lot of you will come to the end of the working week, like myself. So no weekend working for me. I appreciate there's a lot of people out there that do work weekends and weekend nights. I have had my years of doing that, but I am quite glad that I don't now. Especially in this weather conditions, there was nothing worse than working a Saturday night when it was like this. Believe me, on the railway, nightmare. But, so that's how, this is what I'm going to be putting through. So all I'm going to be left with from mounting the plate is this, basically with the small screws. That's all you want to do. So it is basically a case of now working out if you have this particular pattern, where you want it to sit on the tyre. Do you want a certain colour opposite the words? Do you not? Are you not fussed? Or are you like me, a bit weird? So yeah, I'll be the first to admit it. Me personally, I like to run a certain thing, so I go for the Pro line there, because I'm using the flat iron XLs, and I like these two to meet the word and this yellow one to be in the middle. I purposely coloured them that way for a reason. So now we've got to manipulate this in, but try and keep it as level and straight as we can. What you're going to find you're going to need to do is prise the tyre away, because these pins are just going to be wanting to clasp it. And you know, you've got to be quite forceful, to be honest. You've got to give it some. Tyres can take it and you ain't going to break the wheel. So it's all good. And then, so we trying to get it sit down, so you can see now we've got some gaps. So now what you need to do is start pulling the tyre all the way round. It's really hard to show you this on screen, I guess, but we've got to be able to manipulate the tyre so it all comes up to where the B part would be, where you're going to lock the tyre onto the wheel. So we're kind of there. I don't know if you can see now. Can you see that bit there? It's still, that's a bit of coloration from the, so this is how it sits. So I don't know how you can see, the best way you can see that. There we go. So that's how you want it to sit. And this is how it looks on the other side. So can you see that? Can you only imagine if you were trying to do all of that from one side, as locking into all them bits? It'd be a nightmare. Believe me, it is a nightmare, because I tried it the other way and it didn't work. This is why I'm showing you this way, because it's the best way I found to do it. So Now what we need to do is try and mount this plate in here and be able to get all the bits and pieces. But also what you need to check on the front, on the inside of here, is that the tyre is behind all the pins and sits quite nice, because that gives it your like edge, gives you your protective, so it just makes it sit nicer and stuff like that. So now we need to manipulate this. So we're going to come down to here and just to get it going, but you'll kind of still see. So you want to part the tyre out past a certain point. So as you're doing it, you're going to want to prise your tyre over a bit so you can get the first screw to bite. Now you only want to put it in a couple of turns because you just want it to hold. That's all, just a couple of turns to get it going. There's still plenty of thread. It's just to hold it, and then like I like to do, I like to go the 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock situation just to help keep things tight and in place. So now we're going to try and manipulate the tyre so that we can get this screw in place. And it is tricky, but it is very doable, and does work. So yeah, we've got 2 of them in, so we know we've got the pressure to hold it in place. Now what you find is everything's a little bit deformed. It is just a case of now what we've got to do is work round and try and get these in as flush and as neat as possible, so the overall effect of the wheel is where you want it to be. So what we're going to do is try and manipulate this back in here. I don't recommend stabbing that in there, but if you're very careful and use more of a flatter edge to it than the point, there's a good chance you can get that to pop back in. Failing that, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to just back it off so it's hardly on at all, or even take it out. It's all got to come undone because it's gone too far. So we need to manipulate that tyre back like so. So there we are. It's there. Once it all goes on and sits, it's great. They look fantastic. So there's a couple of turns. Now you see how that looks a bit better. So it's just a case of manipulation. And then every one you do is basically pulled out. I'm sorry if my hand's in the way, but I'm trying the best to do it and show you at the same time. So I do apologise for that. So there we are at the 12 o'clock. So we're going to go over here to the 6 o'clock. We're going to manipulate that out a bit and hold it and try and get that to just bite in there, which we have just got there. So we've got 2 left now. I won't lie, the last 2 can be a bit tricky, but we'll see how we go. So it's just the same thing again. Just manipulate it out a bit so you can get the screw started. And then it's just holding inside. And then the last one. By the time you get to the 4th one on your wheels, you're going to seem like an expert. So what we've got going down here, because we've got a severely deflated tyre. Right, so right, the tyre will sort of inflate itself again. And before you really do this thing up, you just need to make sure that you've got it all where it needs to be, you know, because there's nothing worse than trying to sort it out afterwards when you've done it all up, because it just doesn't happen. Yeah, it just does not want to know. So we're all in. All the bits are behind rather than going through. And now it's just a case of doing this up a bit at a time. So start at 1. few turns. Let's just get this going. A few turns opposite. It's up to you how you do them, but I do prefer the 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock approach. It really does just make the process a bit more evenly spaced with pressure. You're not going to do something to the threads because... So we're getting there. So now we've done X amount of turns on each one. I'm just actually going to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then just keep working around like that. So I'll just do that. Like I can say, final check before you really do it up as tight as it can go. Everything's looking good. So let's just finish it off. There we go. Like I say, if you use an electric screwdriver, I'd be extremely careful. In fact, I would just say just use the regular hex driver for his. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't want to do anything. Right, so they're on. So the next thing you want to do, just final check, is you want to make sure that it's tight front and back. So unfortunately you share some of the components, so therefore what I would do is get another 2mm, hopefully you've got a spare one, even if it's just an Allen key. Put one in the front, one on the back, and just do it up so that they go nice and tight. Just purely then you know that you've and when you're doing it this way, you really can't over tighten it either, because you're sort of doesn't take very long. You just know that it's all done up. So there, and there, and there. There we go. So that's the wheel together. So now all we're going to do is mount your wheel hex or spacer to where you want it. So I like mine to sit like so. So first one in, like I say, just lock it in so it's just on. Don't have to do it up tight. Just so it just nips up, so it holds it on. You haven't got to hold it. Just move them out of the way. Right. So 2.5. Here we go. And again, the 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock process is what it takes to do it. There we go. So they all sit in nice. Now it's just a case of nip them up because they're all in. There you have it. That's one done wheel. Sweetly light. Going to look epic on the Capra, and they sit quite lush as well. So there's a nice bit of tie. Looks nice and grip ready for the terrain you're going to be on. So there you go. They are your Punks custom 3D carbon 2.2 wheels and how to install them. Hopefully you found the video interesting. Wow, dropped the camera, so I cut you off a bit before. So just in case you've missed any bits that I've been talking, basically the wheels are now together. So these are your Punks custom 3D 2.2 carbon wheels mounted into a 1.9 tyre with the single stage foam inside I've gone for. If you are going for your dual stage foam, you're going to need to cut some of this out. Up to you what you do, because ultimately they're your rigs, people, and you know what you want from your rig. So finished article, they are a pleasure to put together. They're a pleasure to look at. I got them from Gareth Curtis RC. There's other designs as well. There's 1.9s, there's 2.2s in other design patterns as well. So check them out if you're after a nice light set of wheels for your low centre of gravity, your Capra, your anything you want to just do like rock crawling with. Not so much your trail truck, although there is an argument for your unsprung weight to be lighter, because obviously all the power you haven't got to get a heavier wheel going, therefore the knock-on effect is that you have less of a strain going on all the other components through the axle and things like that. So there is a case for your unsprung weight. If I listen to a couple of my friends that are into like proper scale real cars, they all have lighter wheels because of the unsprung and gyro effect that the wheels can have for turning and stuff like that. Not so crucial for the RCs, but then again could be important if you've got a competition rig. I'm not really sure, I don't run competition, so yeah, I've enjoyed doing these. I hope you've enjoyed the videos for these. If you have, then please put a like in there. Leave a comment if you wish. It's interesting to read the comments, and I'll always answer back if you have to. If you've asked a question or just want to know something, or you just fancy saying, Kev, you could have done that better. Every day's a learning day. So, but yeah, you all take care, guys. Look after yourselves and look after your loved ones, and stay safe. Landy Kev. Bye bye.